Hey there, Griff Hamlin here. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Doing another impromptu in studio. Drop my chair down. Doing a little impromptu thing. I had a question. I thought this would make a great little post for you guys. The question was about the song called "Can't You See" by the Marshall Tucker Band, which is in the key of D. Well, it's not actually in the key of D, but it's based around a D. A lot of people would say it's in the key of D. Officially, it's not. We'll get into that. So basically, yeah, I'm not gonna play it exactly right. Admittedly, I don't play this song on a regular basis. I just listened to it and I could hear kind of what was going on. So, it's basically a D with some, suspended 4, suspended 2 variation. Goes down to what we would commonly call a C add 9 with an open E on top. And he adds that pinky on the top string to kind of help it out. G, and there's a little kind of open thing. All of this is stuff, if you have my strumming and rhythm mastery, all of this is stuff that's in there. It's kind of basic general stuff. If you had gone through those lessons and then you were to hear that Marshall Tucker song, it would be obvious. You go, oh, I recognize that. All of those little things are in there. So that being the case, the question was, how do you change it to the key of A? He was having a hard time singing it in D, wanted to go to A. How do you do that? Okay, well, excellent question. Basically what we're doing is we're taking a D chord, so we're dropping everything down a fourth. So D goes down to A, C goes down to G, G goes down to D. We can't go down to D because we don't have one that low, so we're going to go back up. So here's the thing, if you look, the way we originally did the D, we added, this chord is root 5th, root 3rd. Now you may not already know that. You probably don't think about your chords in that way. But here's kind of a cool thing. A D chord, technically speaking, is the same voicing, meaning the notes occur in the same order as an A chord. Root 5th, root 3rd, root 5th, root 3rd. Okay, so technically speaking, that's the same chord. Different string set, we play it differently on a guitar, but it's the same chord. Kind of cool, all right? So is E, root 5th, root 3rd. It's just that we also have a 5th and another root because we got more strings. And with the A chord, root 5th, root 3rd, 5th, we have another note there, okay? But technically speaking, again, the order in which the notes appear, root 5th, root 3rd, that is the same between D, A, and G. So, or D, A, and E, excuse me. So fundamentally, they're the same chord, which is cool, because now that means we can do the same modification. If we have the D and we're taking the top note and messing around with it, well, we could do the same thing with A. Now it's not going to be the top note anymore, and it might be a little tricky to finger it. I have a hard time doing that. I'm ignoring the high E string in order to make this happen, because I want to use just the exact same 4 strings that I had before, that root 5th, root 3rd. I would switch over to my middle, 3rd, and 4th fingers instead of same thing, right? Okay, now the next thing that happened, if we go back to the original, the bass note went down to C, and it's kind of, this is kind of an oddball thing. It's like a C add 9. He doesn't ever play the 4th string, so we can kind of leave it out. So it's basically a C add 9, but with the E on top there. Okay, so how would we do that? Instead of A, it'd be G, right? We went down a whole step. It's basically dropping the bass note but leaving the rest of the chord alone, right? But it's kind of a weird thing, because this is root 5th, 9th, 3rd. So root fifth, ninth, third. So that would work. Okay, so the way you might finger that, I've got the low G, open fourth string, that's the fifth, the A with my middle finger, and I'm literally making this up right here now. So root, low G, open D, A is the second fret, third string, right? I'm using my middle finger. The third is the open B. To do that little hammer on, like he was doing here. So I use my pinky to grab the third fret on the second string. Alright, so far I've got A, now I need the D. This is where things are going to get a little funky, because before we had D, C, and G, and he just kind of strums the G and does a little, kind of this open thing, right? Well, G is not at all the same voicing as D. They don't really have a whole lot in common. So, we're going to have to probably get a little creative with that. Now, on the original recording, it's just kind of a strum with maybe that little thing in there. So maybe we can do the D. And maybe you could do that. So what I'm doing is the open A to the second fret to the open D. So the whole thing would be kind of in A. And then hit that, and then back to the A. Or you could, do that kind of move again. Are you going to be able to play exactly what's on the original? Probably not. I mean, unless you want to do like this kind of a D, which would be really, that's a challenge. That would be kind of a drag. But the whole thing in general should work, A, G thing, D, I think people would recognize what it is. Something like that along those lines. So, like I said, not an exact duplicate, but you can get pretty close. And it's just being a little creative. You got to look at the chords, look at how the notes are put together. Like I said, D, A, and E are basically the same voicing. They, at the lowest end, have that root fifth, root third. G and C are the same way. Root third, fifth, root third, root third, fifth, root third. Okay, so those two are more closely related. So anytime, if you want to convert chords that are of the same chord voicing, it shouldn't be too hard. If instead you're flipping between the ADE voicing and the CG voicing, and that's really all there is on a guitar. If you're flipping between the two, things get a little bit more complicated, and that's basically how it boils down. But that's greatly oversimplified, but you'd be amazed how often it actually really works out that way. So anyway, I know this is kind of an unusual video, and I hope it's useful to you. I hope you get something out of it. And I don't have the tab for Can't You See. I'm sure you can find it in one of 3,000 books, or you can probably find a fairly incorrect version online somewhere for free. Most of them are, but with your ear and what you learned in strumming and rhythm mastery and your experience, you should be able to put it together. So hope that helps. Talk to you soon.